Hey guys, Woods Farm here, just back out in the shop. Today we're going to do a review of the Mastercraft FluxCore 125i welder, so stick around and check it out. Okay guys, I just picked up this new Mastercraft FluxCore 125i welder kit. This is the 30 to 125 amp welder. It is a new welder. It's different than the one that I've already reviewed in the past. This one is an inverter style welder. It is much more compact than the earlier Mastercraft welders. So today we're going to do an unboxing, and we're going to also do a quick review, do some welds, and compare it to the other welder and see how well it does. So this welder is a 30 to 125 amp, 120 volt. So this will work off of a regular household outlet. Probably going to want at least a 20 amp plug, but we'll test that out and see how it does. So before we unbox this, a couple of things to note. This is an inverter style welder, which is kind of a newer technology, and it makes it a lot more small and compact of a machine. It says it has thermal overload protection. That's pretty standard. One thing to keep in mind is this is a flux core only unit. It doesn't have a gas option to do standard MIG welding. It basically includes everything you need to weld, except for the wire. You're also going to need a welding mask and some other basic tools. It says DC output allows stable arc for precision welding. And this machine looks like it's set up, it'll take 03 wire or 035 wire. Okay, we'll just do a quick unboxing here and see what we get. There you got instructions, pretty nice little booklet there. You get exactly one contact tip. This is a 3-0, it looks like. You can see how small this unit is. It is very small. It's like half the size of the other Mastercraft welder that I have. Okay, there you go, not much to it. It does come with a MIG style. Okay, you got a tip, so it gives you one extra tip. Basic controls, you've got wire speed 1 to 10, and you've got heat settings that are by letter all the way up to J. So on the inside of the lid, there is a chart for some of the basic settings. And interestingly, this wire feed unit looks virtually identical to what is in the other Mastercraft MIG welders. It's laid on its side, it's set up a little differently. The spool looks a little different as well, but that wire feed unit is, it looks exactly the same. So we got assembly instructions. The carry strap looks like it just goes through the front and a spot on the back. So here's the instructions for, it looks like, setting up the feed unit. Some basic welding instructions. So I'm going to get this question. This is definitely recommending a 20 amp plug, but based on experience, my other Mastercraft welders, you can use a 15 amp plug if you're careful. I'll do a more detailed setup video at a later date, but there you can see there's a specific way the wire has to be spooled. The drive roller also has to be in their correct orientation for the wire you're using. If you're using the 030 or 035, the roller will be different. Okay, I've got some scrap pieces prepped up. This is 1/8 thickness mild steel, so we'll see how it does. Okay, I just want to say I'm using the Canadian Tire Mastercraft brand wire, FluxCore wire, 3.0. Not as good as some other wires I've used, but it's all I have today. And those are my first two beads. The first one I had the heat up to like H, and I had the wire speed at 9, and it just seemed like the wire was coming out too slow. The second weld left the wire speed at 9 and dropped the heat down to F, and that's a little bit better looking, I think. Still lots of splatter, but that's probably the crappy ass wire. So yeah, the right hand side's that first weld, and that actually had more heat than the weld on the left side, but I couldn't quite get the wire speed right. I think there's better penetration on the second weld at a lower heat. So when I was setting up the machine, I thought the wire speed seemed kind of slow based on what I'm used to doing. And already I have the wire at 9, which is almost maximum speed, and I feel like I need more wire. But I'm not an expert welder. We're going to try a couple of other welds and just see what happens here. So the on and off switch is on the back, and this is kind of interesting. I noticed it takes a long time for the machine to turn off. It's off, but it's still running. It's like 10 seconds, and it will still weld during that time, so kind of weird. Okay, that's the third weld I made where I joined two pieces together. That's 1/8 material. Okay, we're just going to do a side-by-side test on the wire speed. They're both at set at their maximum speed. Yeah, the older Mastercraft is definitely has more wire speed. You've got more adjustment there. When you go from 1 to 10, you get a little more wire speed than you do on the new version. Okay, that was a real brief demonstration of this welder. It may take me some practicing to get used to it. It is a different type of technology. It's an inverter welder. It felt a little different. It did feel every much as powerful as the older style welders. Right off the bat, my first impressions, I don't like the fact that the switch is on the back. You got to reach back and feel for it. The old style, the switch was on the front. What I do like is they went to a knob for the power output. It's better than the old style where you had the minimum, maximum 1, 2, where you only really had 4 kind of power settings. This is probably a little more precise. My initial thoughts, it clearly doesn't have the same wire speed as the older machine, even on 10. And I felt like I needed more wire output being up in the higher heat range, but that could just be practice. Again, this is a new technology. This is an inverter welder, so it felt different. It felt as powerful as this machine, but it felt a little different. So I think I just need some practice. It's definitely a much smaller machine, as you can see side by side. It's, a fraction of the weight and size. So if you have a very small shop or you need something that's portable, this might be a good option. Especially if you're using only welding kind of thinner materials. Overall, they're very comparable. I do need to get a little more practice on this machine. I'll probably come back and do a review after a few months, and when I get better on it and I'll have a better feel for it, be able to better compare it to this style of welder. Canadian Tire is still selling these units. They're on sale constantly, so I don't know if they're trying to move them out of inventory to switch over to these or what, but currently you can buy both machines. Okay guys, that was a really quick look at the FluxCore 125i welder from Mastercraft. You got to see it working, see a couple of welds. I'm going to do some more welding with this over the upcoming months, and I'll probably come back and do an update video. Also, I'll probably do a setup video to show you how to set up the wire feed and get this thing ready to go. So that'll be in a future video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And as always, thanks for watching.